What's up everybody? Today it's me, the X Official, and I'm back with another video. Now today I'm going to be doing something different. I'm going to be doing a Photoshop tutorial. This is going to be on how to make a profile picture. This is going to be basically for beginners because this one's pretty simple to do. So to get started you need Photoshop, any version, pretty much they're both work the same way. I mean, I use CS6, you can have CC or CS5. But to get started, you want to go into File, New, and make sure your width is in 500 in pixels and your height is in 500 in pixels. Your color mode doesn't really matter and your resolution doesn't really matter. But make sure your background content is transparent and just go ahead and name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name it X and let's just hit OK. So now you should have this if you did everything right. And there's tons of ways you can fill this up with color. You can easily get a paint bucket tool and click a color and just fill it up. But we're not going to be doing that today. We're just going to be doing a normal image from Google, which is pretty simple. So you just go to Google and find different images. You can find an image like grunge background, which is like rough. Or you can find images like a radial background, which is like kind of colorful and starburst. Like they're actually called starburst backgrounds if you look that up too. And you can get a plain background, which is what we're going to be using today, which is just a normal background. And yeah, so when you go into Photoshop, you want to go into File and go down to Place and then find that wherever you saved it as. And to resize it, make sure you hold shift and do it in the corners so it keeps its shape. If you're using a different image, you'll really get it, but because this is so just a regular old background, you don't really need to hold shift, but I still did. And now that we have this, you want to go and basically find a texture that you like. I like fabric textures, I don't know why. You can implement them into your profile picture. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So basically what you do is go back into File and Place and find it wherever you saved it. And let's wait for that to load in. And then we're gonna make it fit the whole screen and just put the check mark. And now this is just covering our whole thing. So what you want to do is go over to the place where it says normal on top. Make sure the layer is selected and go and make sure it says overlay. Click on where it says overlay and you can crank your opacity down to whatever you like. You can experiment with it. Like I'm gonna just put 39 because that's the exact number I want. And now you can go ahead and go into blending options on this background, which is, I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do this. You just click on the first background and just double click on it and it should open up this menu right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and go into color overlay and it will change color, but don't worry about that. You're gonna go here and change the color to black, which is to make it a little bit darker, but we're gonna drop the opacity down to like whatever you want. I'm gonna just do 26. And now that's basically it. Now you want to have a cool font on your computer. You can get cool fonts off thefont.com like these. These are just examples. There's millions of fonts on there. So now you just go into Photoshop and hit the text tool. You can also access this by pressing T on your keyboard and make sure your color is like white. You guys can change your color, but I'm going to be using white. And find your font wherever you have it. I'm just gonna use this one. It's called, okay, I'm gonna butcher that name, I'm not gonna say it. So I'm just gonna type in X. And yeah, so now we want to go into blending options like we did earlier, but this time on our X layer. And I'm gonna add a gradient overlay and make sure the opacity is like 20%. You guys can pretty much do this however you want. But if you guys see the fabric texture is showing through the text, we can fix that later if you guys don't like that. And we're gonna add a drop shadow. Now the drop shadow I like to call is the Ziovo method. It's basically 0 for the distance, 33 for the spread and 33 for the size, and it gives it this cool looking effect. Now if you want, you don't really need to add a drop shadow. You can add a stroke, which looks pretty cool, and you can change it to like 9 or 6, and then you can also add a drop shadow too. It works good with that. And now that's pretty good, guys. Sorry if I'm stuttering, I'm just a little bit nervous. This is my first tutorial. And now to resize it, you can basically hit Control T and this should appear, and just make it a little bit bigger. And don't worry if it's not centered, we can center that right now. So what you want to do to center it is make sure you have your layer selected with your text, and hit Control A, layer, align layers to selection, vertical centers, layer, align layers to selection, horizontal centers. Now you can tell this is perfectly centered, and to get out of this Control A mode, you can just hit Control D and everything will be deselected. So now we want to add that ellipse, as you guys saw earlier, the circle around the X. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and you can right click on this and this menu should pop up, and hit ellipse and just hold shift and do this. And I know it's gonna look weird right now, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna show you guys how to fix that right now. So go to fill and change fill to this, which means no fill, and change stroke to whatever color you like. If you want to customize the color besides those here, you can hit this and just change the color to whatever you want, and then hit OK. And now you can change the size of your stroke to like any number you want. I think I'm going to be using 7 today. And yeah, so now that we do that, before we edit anything, I just want to take our fabric texture and put it behind the wallpaper, behind the text and the circle, just so it doesn't like blend through like it was doing earlier. So now the circle looks kind of weird. I'm gonna hit Control T, which gets me into this mode, but make sure the circle is selected. Don't do what I just did. Make sure the circle is selected when you do it, and then you have these anchor points. Do shift so the circle keeps its shape, and I think I messed up on the shape earlier, so we're just gonna do this, but don't not hit shift. Okay, so now that we have this, we want to go ahead and align the circle the same way we did to the other one. So we're just gonna vertical centers and horizontal centers, and the circle is aligned. Now let's go ahead and put the circle behind our text, and I just want to go into our text and right click and go into copy layer style, and then go onto your ellipse and right click again and go into paste layer styles. Now this will give it the same effects you gave your circle, your X earlier. So this is pretty much it for the tutorial, and if you guys want to save it, just go to file, save as, and save it as a PNG. Make sure it's as a PNG or JPEG, but I prefer doing it as a PNG. Don't leave it as Photoshop because it's just so you can edit it later. Save it as a PNG, save it wherever you want. I'm just gonna name it XPNG60. I don't know why I put 56 at the end. And then just save it. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys want me to do more, please hit that subscribe button, like and comment, and tell me you guys want me to do more. So as always, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm the X Official, and I'm signing out.